They chose a pregnant woman to ruin my double date. But my next move left everyone frozen. That lunch was supposed to change my life forever. Instead, it became the most humiliating moment I had ever experienced. A table reserved for 4. 2 women I had carefully invited after months of rebuilding my confidence. And then, without warning, a visibly pregnant woman walked straight toward us with tears in her eyes, placed both hands over her stomach, looked directly at me, and acted as though I had abandoned her and our unborn child. Every conversation in the restaurant stopped. Glasses froze in midair. Dozens of strangers stared at me with silent judgment, while the 2 women across from me slowly pushed back their chairs. Whoever planned that moment believed my reputation would never recover. They thought shame would destroy me before I even had the chance to explain. They were wrong. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves another chance, if you believe people should never be judged before hearing the truth, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Shadow of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts and reminds the world that compassion still exists. For almost 3 years, I had avoided dating altogether. My engagement had ended after a painful betrayal that left me questioning every decision I had ever made. Friends insisted that I deserved happiness again, but healing is never as simple as people imagine. Every invitation felt like a risk. Every smile carried the fear of another disappointment. Eventually, after months of encouragement from my sister, I agreed to something unusual. Instead of choosing between 2 women I had recently met through mutual friends, I arranged a casual double lunch with another friend joining us. Hopping the relaxed atmosphere would remove the pressure and help everyone feel comfortable. It wasn't meant to be romantic competition. It was simply an honest opportunity to get to know people again. The restaurant overlooked a quiet river lined with old oak trees. Sunlight reflected gently across the water while soft music drifted through the dining room. Everything seemed peaceful. We laughed about embarrassing childhood memories, discussed favorite books, and shared stories about careers and family traditions. For the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. What I didn't know was that someone else had been watching. Months earlier, I had reported financial misconduct inside the company where I worked. The investigation exposed thousands of dollars that had disappeared through false invoices created by a senior manager named Victor. He lost his position, but everyone knew he blamed me for his downfall, even though I had simply told the truth. I believed the situation was over. I underestimated how deeply bitterness can grow inside someone determined to destroy another person's life. Without warning, the restaurant entrance opened, and a young pregnant woman stepped inside wearing a pale dress beneath a light coat. Her face looked exhausted, and she carried an old handbag close to her body. At first, I barely noticed her. Then she walked directly toward our table. The room slowly became quieter. She stopped beside me, looked into my eyes, rested one trembling hand across her stomach, and tears began rolling down her cheeks. Every nearby customer immediately assumed they understood the situation. Faces filled with disappointment turned toward me. A waiter froze halfway across the dining room. One of my companions covered her mouth in complete shock. Inside, my heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear anything else. My mind raced through every possibility, searching desperately for an explanation that simply didn't exist. I had never seen this woman before in my life. The humiliation arrived before I could even think. People whispered behind folded hands. Some shook their heads with obvious disgust. Others reached for their phones, eager to record another stranger's public downfall. In only a few seconds, years of carefully rebuilding my reputation seemed ready to disappear forever. Then something happened that changed everything. Instead of reacting with anger or panic, I noticed the woman wasn't looking at me the way someone betrayed would. Beneath her tears was something else. Fear, real fear. She kept glancing toward the restaurant entrance as though expecting someone to be watching. That single detail stopped me from defending myself impulsively. I realized there was another story hidden behind the obvious one everyone believed. Rather than raising my voice, I calmly asked the restaurant manager to call security and politely requested that every security camera recording from the previous hour be preserved. The unexpected request confused everyone. Guilty people rarely ask for evidence to be protected. The silence became even heavier. The woman suddenly lowered her head. Her shoulders began shaking, and this time the tears looked completely different. They no longer seemed rehearsed. They seemed filled with regret. Security arrived quietly while customers continued watching. The manager informed everyone that camera footage would be reviewed before any conclusions were made. The atmosphere shifted almost immediately. Judgment slowly gave way to uncertainty. A private room was prepared away from the dining area. There, the truth finally began emerging. The woman admitted she had been offered money by a middle-aged man who claimed I had ruined his career. He promised enough cash to cover several months of medical bills if she simply walked into the restaurant, approached my table, and create the appearance that I had abandoned her during pregnancy. She insisted she was never supposed to accuse me directly. The plan relied entirely on assumptions made by everyone watching. She confessed she had almost turned around several times before entering. Her husband had died 8 months earlier in a construction accident. Insurance payments were delayed because of legal disputes. She was expecting twins. Rent was overdue. Hospital appointments continued becoming more expensive. Fear had slowly pushed her into making the worst decision of her life. Listening to her confession, I felt something unexpected. Not hatred, sadness. Because standing before me wasn't a cruel person. She was someone drowning. The security footage soon confirmed another critical detail. Cameras outside the restaurant clearly captured Victor speaking with her before she entered. Minutes later, he drove away believing his